This is part one of a series designed to prepare you for the onslaught of hypocrisy that will arise from the upcoming Chrystul Kizer case. If you recall, Kyle Rittenhouse provided a fake address on his bail form, prompting ADA Binger to request the court to throw him in jail and increase his bond.
This is the latest in a long line of incidents where I think the defendant is essentially thumbing his nose at the court's requirements here. And it's very alarming when someone is facing these serious charges to go to a bar and drink, to wear a t-shirt with a profane message on it, to flash white supremacist signs, to move away from this address, put someone else at risk, and then refuse to disclose your whereabouts on a case like this. These are very troubling things.
The ensuing brouhaha amongst the public rose to the point where Kyle was considered a fugitive of the law, and that this was proof of his guilt. He was on the lam. After all, an innocent person wouldn't have violated bail conditions, right? Well, that's what we were told. Well, get ready, because the worm has turned, and Chrystul Kizer, who is pure as the snow according to the left, has flown the coop. Remember that phrase?
I didn't know that meant they'd completely flown the coop.
And how has the left responded? Well, we're going to find out. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis, cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Okay, so this is Law and Crime, and away we go.
Right now, authorities are searching for a Wisconsin woman out on a nearly $500,000 bond.
On a nearly $500,000 bond. Kyle was bonded at $2 million. So I don't see $500,000 at any big deal. And actually, it was $400,000. So you see the bias here. We raise $400,000 to $500,000, and then we emphasize it. Nearly $500,000.
She's accused of bail jumping ahead of her high-profile murder trial. Chrystul Kizer's case made national headlines, sparking conversation on how sexual abuse victims are treated in our justice system.
It's an incredibly fascinating case because it raises issues that were probably never seen before, particularly in Wisconsin.
At 17 years old, Kizer was arrested and charged, accused of killing 34-year-old Randall Voller III. Her alleged...
By the way, he's a total creep, and it's not like he didn't deserve some of this, but, you know, it wasn't up to her to levy out the punishment. But that's a whole new argument.
Abuser who she claims sex trafficked her. She spent nearly 2 years behind bars before activist groups raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for her release. But as...
Yeah, well, they might be kissing that money goodbye.
One of the conditions of her bond, she was instructed not to commit any crimes. And now authorities are looking for her for allegedly doing just that. As Kizer awaits trial for the 2018 shooting, she's now accused of attacking a man she lived with in early January.
Bail jumping is serious, but it's certainly less serious than the ultimate charge of murder.
I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, come on. I mean, she was going up for murder, so this is no biggie.
I spoke with law and crime legal analyst Julie Rendelman, who explained why bail jumping is a huge issue in Kizer's upcoming homicide trial.
The big issue, I think, about bail jumping is whether or not she's going to be incarcerated during the course of the trial.
Well, you can bank on it now. They still can't find her. So whatever new bond they give out, no one's going to raise the money for her. It would take an absolute moron to bail Chrystul Kizer out of jail. She's already flown the coop once.
Because bail jumping indicates that someone's not going to come back to court. I think...
Like what happened?
The interesting thing about this, the second case, in terms of her rearrest, is that we see, without minimizing potentially what she has done to her alleged victims, we see in a way her being victimized again and again.
Here's what else we know about.
Never mind what she might have done to her victims. That's no big deal. I mean, come on. What we really want to talk about is how she's been victimized.
about the case that initially put Chrystul Kizer behind bars. Wisconsin prosecutors say she shot and killed Randall Voller III in June of 2018. According to court documents, Kizer admitted to taking an Uber from Milwaukee to Kenosha and shooting Voller because she was upset and tired of him abusing her.
Also in the court documents was evidence that she intended to kill Randall Voller to steal his car, but we don't want to mention those things.
Prosecutors did admit Voller was preying on Kizer, other underage girls, and was under investigation for sexual abuse and producing child pornography. After Kizer allegedly shot Voller in the head twice, she then set his house on fire before fleeing in his BMW. Voller's BMW.
What's also not mentioned was that she admitted to setting the house on fire to destroy evidence. But we don't want to mention that.
Was found abandoned in Milwaukee. Police reportedly used a receipt found in the car, surveillance video, and Facebook to track the stolen car to Kizer.
We'll also not mention the selfies she took with her buddies while they were driving around, and also the Facebook message that she posted after the shooting where she bragged about it. But we don't want to talk about those things.
Initially denied knowing Voller or even traveling to Kenosha, but then came clean admitting she knew him after the two met on Backpage when she was 16 years old. Kizer was charged with first-degree intentional homicide as well as theft and arson.
Every state is different. I think New York has really changed their viewpoint on.
We don't care about New York.
On truly the victims of whether it be prostitution or sex trafficking. And so the individuals who
truly the victim. So basically she's saying Chrystul Kizer is the victim here.
Who are brought into prostitution are no longer arrested. And the viewpoint is to try to get them out of that world.
It's going to be hard to get them out of that world when they don't face any consequences for being in it. Let's face it, prostitutes make money. They don't make a lot of money, but they make money. So there's an incentive. What's the disincentive? Well, it used to be arrest, but you remove that now. So now prostitution looks even better and better. And of course, once they get into prostitution, the drugs and all that come along shortly.
And, figure out a better path for them. And so certainly in New York, they've jumped on in the right direction in terms of the handling of that. I'm not so sure that other states have followed suit. In Kizer's case,
Yeah, I noticed that New York and all these other cities hardly have any more prostitutes because of this new policy.
She's not claiming a pure self-defense. The argument is really that the actions in terms of the death of the victim in that case are so closely tied up with the sex trafficking that you can't really separate it out.
That's not what it says. The killing has to be a direct result of the sexual trafficking. Oh, sorry, lady, I didn't mean to catch you in that particular expression, but another thing they forgot to mention to you was that her self-defense claim kind of fell apart when they found out that he had been shot in the back of the head while he was sitting in a chair, but we don't want to mention those things. So she lied about that as well.
And that's more of what the affirmative defense is going to be versus an actual self-defense claim where she's saying he arguably is coming at her and she needs to shoot him in order to protect herself.
I would like to know how in the hell they're going to excuse her actions here. She wasn't living with him. She was living an hour away, and she had a boyfriend and a gun. There is no evidence whatsoever that he ever tried to come after her or whatever. What was she trying to escape? She had already left Kenosha. She didn't have to go to Kenosha. She could have just stayed in Milwaukee. But evidence points to the fact that old Randall Voller had a nice BMW and she wanted it. So she went down there to steal his car. And by the way, what felonies was she convicted of before this happened? Let me think here. What was it? Oh yeah, car theft. She's a car thief. I wonder if that conviction for car theft will be admissible. Probably, because it points to motive.
Kizer's bail was initially set at $1 million. Prosecutors initially argued the killing was premeditated. Although the state agreed Voller was an abuser, prosecutors said Kizer planned to steal Voller's car and she downloaded a police scanner app the day of the shooting. Meanwhile, Kizer said she killed Voller in self-defense after he had pinned her down and attempted to rape her. Kizer's case began making headlines.
Let's not mention the fact that she had to retract that one because the evidence pointed against it.
Headlines a year after the crime, with activists such as Tarana Burke, Alyssa Milano, and Centoya Brown Long, whose case similarly mirrored Kizer's, came for support. In Centoya's case, she was convicted of murder and robbery at 16 years old for the 2004 murder of Johnny Michael Allen, who allegedly picked up Centoya for sex. Centoya shot Brown in the back of the head before running off with money from his wallet and fleeing.
Oh, she ran off with his money. Gee, I wonder what the motive was in that particular case.
The scene in his truck. She was originally sentenced to life in prison. However, in 2013, with renewed interest in her case, her original sentence was commuted to 15 years in prison, and she was released in 2019. Like Kizer, Centoya Brown was a child victim of sex trafficking, sparking conversation on sexual abuse victims acting in self-defense.
Anytime we're dealing with a case involving homicide, a case involving where the victim is white, the alleged defendant is black, race is going to potentially play an issue.
Yeah, if it doesn't play an issue, we'll just make it one. There is nothing to indicate that race was involved in anything that went on here, but we're just going to make it about race. And that's basically what she's saying.
One of the first things that happened that raised a lot of eyebrows is how long she remained incarcerated, when it was clear there was no question that while she did commit the actual acts in terms of the crime, that there was clear mitigation for why she had done what she had done.
Oh, wait, there's clear mitigation. So basically, she's innocent. That's what she's saying. She has already jumped on Chrystul Kizer's side in this. And they should have released her a long time ago. The length of time that she spent in jail had nothing to do with race, or at least I don't see any connection, but she's making it anyway. This is going to be all about race.
And it took actually the community to get her out on, I believe, $400,000 bail at the time. And so I think it's incredibly naive for anyone to think that race does not play a role. With that said, there are clear issues here that
the group of people that collected their money to bail out Kyle Rittenhouse, were they ever described as the community? No. I think the description of them was far less complimentary.
Had to be decided by an appellate court simply because you are the victim of a crime, whether it be domestic violence, sex trafficking, robbery, rape. That doesn't automatically give you carte blanche to commit a murder. And so I think it's incredibly important for there to be a clear definition and understanding. So when they go into trial, a jury's really going to understand what the law is and what the law isn't.
And
the jury's not going to care. Hang on, you'll see why.
February 2020, a Kenosha County Circuit Court judge lowered Kizer's bail from $1 million to $400,000. Months later in June, Kizer posted bond with money raised by several support groups. Fast forward to January 2024, 5 months.
And how were these support groups described by the public? Probably far more complimentary than those that raised money for Kyle were.
Ahead of her trial, prosecutors have filed an arrest warrant for not complying with the terms of her bond. According to local reports, on January 7th, Milwaukee police say Kizer called 911 claiming a man had put his hands on her and
by the way, her hair looks like cultural appropriation.
Tried to rape her in a local apartment. Kizer reportedly called the man a child molester as he could be heard yelling, "Stop hitting me." The man was identified as her live-in boyfriend, David Melton.
Holy cow, that is your boyfriend? You have got to be kidding me, Chrystul. Seriously? Him? Oh my God. Yeah, he looks sane. Gee, I can't imagine him being a problem.
non-compliant registered sex offender. Police say when they arrived, Kizer used profane and abusive language toward Melton after learning he was a convicted child sex offender and lied to her about why he was on supervision. Officers say Kizer lunged at Melton, striking him repeatedly in the face and resisting officers who were trying to make the man leave. Police arrested the now 23-year-old Kizer but released her the following day after prosecutors chose not to charge her at first. Then the DA's office chose to file charges for disorderly conduct, leading Kenosha County prosecutors to tack on 4 felony bail jumping charges and 1 count of failing to update her address.
Oh, wait, she forgot to update her address? Oh, no. According to Kyle's bashers, that's the worst thing you can do. I mean, that's just admitting you're a murderer.
Which would put her back behind bars.
She's in a second quote-unquote relationship with a registered sex offender. And so this it seems like almost a cycle of victimization, to be frank.
To be frank, it sounds like she really sucks at picking out boyfriends. You know, maybe not picking out guys who are sex offenders. Why don't you try that, Chrystul? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. She's the victim. She's 23 years old now, but they're still treating her like she's 17.
And so, you know, it's interesting because keep in mind also that the police initially did not keep her on that second case. It wasn't until more contemplation by the prosecution's office that they decided that to file charges against her. And so that's what led to the bail jumping that we're talking about now.
Kenosha prosecutors have asked the judge to increase her bail back to $1 million in the homicide case.
And again, I go back to what we talked about before, which is simply because you're the victim of a crime, even an incredibly horrific crime, doesn't give you the right to take the law into your own hands, with exception. With that,
The exception will be found in the comment section.
That said, you know, the issue is really when it comes to bail, whether or not an individual is going to return to court, period. And so if she's found quickly, if she turns herself in, I think it's less likely than a judge would impose that much bail because turning yourself in indicates that you're willing to attend trial and be present.
Well, starting tomorrow, it'll be 1 week, and they still haven't found her. So, While the commenter seemed to express no willingness to say anything even slightly untoward about Chrystul, we're now going to read the comment section where the people are, you know, the ones that serve on juries. I'm sure the comments made against her are going to be vicious. I just hope that those commenting on her bail jumping have forgiveness in their hearts, so that they may someday come to terms with her misdeeds. You'll be left wondering, will she even be able to get a fair trial? Okay, all I can say is get out your Kleenex because the takes on her plight are going to be real tearjerkers. Here we go. Why is she in trouble for doing a public service? The creep would still be trafficking if she hadn't stopped him. Oh, such a hero. They should give her $1 million a house or whatever she wants. She's amazing and strong. Oh, God. Meanwhile, there is a woman getting probation after stabbing her boyfriend over 100 times because she got too high. I have no idea what they're talking about there. She probably saved more lives than most people. Okay, somebody here who has some common sense. She killed the John for his BMW, and she's still in a live-in relationship with the pimp. Clearly, she doesn't trust the justice system. She's a victim. Oh, he was a monster. How many other victims were there? She doesn't trust the justice system. So here's the logic. Chrystul didn't turn herself in, so she must be scared. So by committing crimes while out on bail and failing to appear, she just proved her innocence. I can't understand the purpose. Let her kill him. They took her through such ordeals. It was probably like she was being killed. I probably would have found a way to get back at him too. Revenge killings are illegal. You can't take the law into your own hands. Free this woman. She was the victim. That murder victim is a demon, so it's okay. No crime was committed by Chrystul, so evidently now it's okay to point out that the people who got shot were really despicable, and therefore that makes the shooting all right. So are you listening, Kyle? They are doing her so wrong. Free that girl. Don't further victimize her. Leave her alone. Free sis. She was victimized and traumatized. She killed her kidnapper, abuser, and she was charged? That's messed up. Why is a 16-year-old meeting older men on Backpage? Well, she's the one that put the ad up. He responded to it. And she did it because her friend told her that there was money to be made by selling herself on the streets. Fight or flight trauma, PTSD. She needs some therapy. Randall Volar does too. Well, I guess it's too late for him. System-induced trauma. Free her immediately. They know what this man did, and she's on that trial. Give her time served and let her go. He was a creep. Oh my God, yeah, he's a creep. Man took away her childhood. Well, she took away his entire life, but well, whatever. She did all of us a favor. She shouldn't be in jail. So sad. So will Chrystul even be convicted? The evidence against her is stacking up, but notice how many in the comments section don't even appear to care. With Kyle Rittenhouse, it was the most informed people who decided he was innocent. In this case, Chrystul supporters will do everything they can to ignore the evidence. Like my video and subscribe to my channel, and get prepared for more hypocrisy.